Hey, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Lost Light Mike. I'm your host, Mike Gonzalez. This show today is a late makeup show for this past week. In the grand scheme of things, it's not going to matter. It's just episode 80, whatever it is. But to me, I've done an episode every week. And I missed this past week. I didn't miss it all the way, but pretty much the week is gone. We're at the end of the week, and so I'm already gonna do another episode. I'm already getting ready to do this week's episode. Is my point? It would be tomorrow that I normally would do this week's episode. So I decided to get this episode in. And I would like to take a minute to explain why I'm so late. I mean, I know. Look, I wish I could say that the analytics, and I received an update from, I can't even remember right at this moment whether it was YouTube or whether it's the analytics from my podcast hosting. But anyway, I've talked often about how I do this show for myself, where I do talk about the things that are going on in my life, things that are emotions that I'm feeling, or things that I'm dealing with in a way to try to find a connection with other people, people finding similar things going on in their lives. Maybe we'll hear what's going on in mine, and will message me or talk about it, and it's a bit of a therapy for me. Also, I mean, just going back to early episodes, it's been a bit of an instrument of accountability, where I go back and I hear myself, as we often do. People often will say, any variation of excuses why they want to do something, and then they don't end up doing it. And so you can go through life doing that, following that pattern of yeah, well, this is why it didn't happen. I was about to, and then it just, life just got in the way, or and so it's been an eye opener. Even as I talk to other people, where I'll hear their excuses, and they're echoed in my own voice, where I'm thinking, now that I pay attention, now that I have this weekly sit down with myself, and I talk about what's going on and what I want to do, and what my failures and my anxieties and whatever depressive habits and things that are going on. And I'll hear these things echoed in other people, and I'll say, well, there you go. What you're doing right there. And I'm not like that. I'm not that guy who's like, hey, well, I'm noticing that you're making excuses for, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that I let it penetrate back to myself, and I say, you know what, that's kind of getting old. I don't like that. I'm going to take that accountability. I'm going to use it to be positive. But anyway, I've often said that I do this for myself, and that I don't have any expectations. And I think almost to an extent, I have a tendency to be self-destructive when it comes to promotions, getting this, establishing any sort of production value to the show. As far as, I'm not naive. I know that I should have some type of producer helping polish the content and research the topics and things like that. And I think to a certain degree, I know that I have a bit of self destruction, where I I almost don't want to be successful. I don't want to have more people listening to my tirades and rants, or but I was reading some analytics and that were sent to me by email, but I can't remember if it was one or the other. It doesn't matter. Point being, it talked about the average listening time and the amount of people that listen, that watch and listen, or what have you, whatever it was. And I would like to say that the analytics didn't, bother me or affect me in any way or impact me in any way, but it did. I was. It's one thing to say, you know what, I can speak confidently without caring what I say, because not a lot of people listen, and who knows if this is reaching anybody kind of mentality, right? It's easy to have that sort of attitude. And to be honest with you, a lot of times I'll say that, and it's true. It's not a lie. I really do believe, I convince myself that there's not a lot of people listening. And it helps me to say things that I wouldn't normally say, right? Least of all if I thought people were going to sit back and play it back. And, it's one thing to think that way and for it to honestly be true somewhere in my heart, but it's another thing to see these analytics and say, you know what, but not a whole lot of people are giving it the full opportunity. They're not listening all the way, or based on these averages, they're stopping at one point or another, and so it was a combination of that sort of was taking hold. I received those analytics prior to my normal recording weekend, but also this was spring break, to kind of put it in context of a time frame of when this was happening. And I had a performance every day except for Friday. So I was playing shows Saturday all the way through the week, and all up until yesterday. And so I was doing 4-hour shows every day and working my day job all day. So on one hand, I was kind of going through this withdrawal where I just really didn't want to. It's not like I wasn't motivated, because I've said before, to my detriment, even if I'm not feeling like doing the show, I'm going to do the show, because it's that important to me to make to document those emotions as well, right? Where I'm feeling depressed or down. It's easy to come on here when I'm all guns are firing and I'm motivated and I want to do this and I'm talking about things and I'm being funny and whatever. Yeah, it's great. I'm getting to show that side of myself, but that's not the only exclusive reason for making the show. So showing that weaker side, or that those aspects of my character that make it challenging to do the same things, I think is beneficial. But anyway, I didn't have the time. I was gone from my home all day and night on every day this week. So, but when I did have a window, I was contemplating how I was going to approach the show. So I waited till today to do the show. Full disclosure, I'm recording this episode, and it's funny because I dyed my beard. I don't know if you could tell, right? I dyed. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you, it's so funny because you get two different types of attitudes from people when you're doing performances, and you have the gray and the white in your beard. People will treat you differently than if you don't. You know what I mean? But So it's kind of silly for me not to have dyed my beard until after all my shows were done for the week, you know. This is actually, I'm going to talk about it. Maybe I was thinking about talking a bit more about it on the next show, but I'll just go ahead and mention that this is the first weekend that I've had off. Today's Saturday. I have today and tomorrow off. The first weekend, and I can't even tell you how long. And that is to say that I don't have any work and I don't have any performances. I'm just, outside of this podcast, I really don't have any requirements that I have to do. You know what I mean? Which is something I wanted to explore. I don't say that in like I'm down about it or like I'm excited about it. I'm neutral. I love having things to do. I love having projects, and I like keeping busy. It's not like I'm saying in a sort of a negative way, but also at the same time, I think in a sort of in the vein of work-life balance, where you want to kind of have time to just take care of yourself and figure things out for yourself, you know. So anyway, I had the idea that I was going to record an episode, and then I'm going to go take care of some things. I'm going to go get a haircut, but I thought of it after I dyed my beard. So my original idea was that I was, you know, like when I thought of it, I said, man, it would have been cool. I mean, I don't know about cool, but it would have been interesting to like do an episode where I had not cut my hair, hadn't dyed my beard, haven't done anything. I'm just coming off of a really hectic and hardworking week where and talk about that, and then record an episode, a short one or what have you, and then do all the kind of self-care things that I wanted to do, like dye my beard, cut my hair, get kind of figured out, and then come back and record a second episode in the same day. Sort of how I feel after I've sort of done a few things, taking some time for me, right? So that's what I'm doing, but it's just I already dyed my beard because I thought of it literally while I had all the dye and all the gunk on my beard. And I don't know if you've ever dyed your hair. And it's not only for like older people that are trying to cover gray, or you know, I mean, I never dyed my hair. Like one time, I remember I was it was the turn of the century. Wow, that's funny, but it was 1999. Only reason I remember it, was it 99? I think so, because yeah, it was 99. And wow, that's crazy to say out loud. But I was doing a New Year's Eve show, so I wanted to make it special, right? And I had kind of longer hair, sort of just craziness going on. Like it wasn't like long, like, you know, rock and roll. It was rock and roll. Anyway, it was just like this. It was like a weird hairstyle. I had done it myself. I cut up, and it was real choppy and long. But then, so we're coming up on this New Year's Eve show, and so the idea was I was going to get blonde streaks put into this longer hair, right? Or some colored streaks. And I've talked about this once. The hairdresser that was going to do my hair, I swear she was mad at me, and she left me in the chair. And it fried my hair off. Like the bleach and stuff that she put in just killed my hair. It went from being like, well, we're gonna put some streaks in, to like we're gonna have to cut it off, and it's gonna look like Sugar Ray. Like, it was just, I was so angry. That, and then I had a shirt that looked like a disco ball. Like, it was just a bunch of, like, I guess I can't even describe it. It was just like kind of a mesh that looked like a disco ball in the lights. It's a weird fashion moment, I'll admit that. I think even my pants were vinyl or something. I don't remember exactly. I think it was, though. In a different day and age. It was cool. Anyway, I met my first wife that night. So couldn't have been all that bad, right? But overall, I never dyed my hair. My hair is kind of like different shades of brown naturally. And my mom always used to say that she didn't want me to dye my hair because she said it was going to mess up the natural multi-shade thing that was happening with my head. So I always kind of try not to dye it. But some people dye their hair all different kind of colors, purple, blue, red, whatever. So if you've ever dyed your hair, this is the point that I'm kind of trying to get back to. But if you've ever dyed your hair yourself, it can be kind of scary. So just imagine if you're doing that, but on your face, right? And the reason why I say it's scary is because you have a brush and you're putting it into wherever you're putting it, and you're supposed to let it sit for like 5 minutes, right? So it could take hold, I guess. But then you start looking and it looks like the dye is on your skin. And I don't care how many times you do it. I mean, I've done it. It tells you to wear gloves, right? So it's telling you it's going to stain if it sits on you. And if you've never dyed your hair, then I'm just painting a picture for you here. This is what it is like. And so I have the shower ready. I have everything ready. So when the timer goes off, 5 minutes is up, you want to jump in the shower and get it off your face, get it off of your hair, right? Because again, I'm having flashbacks to the bleach, but I know it's different animal, but I'm just saying it does talk about like testing it out on a part of you know what I mean? Like you're a rug or something and you don't want to like negatively affect your skin or whatever. Like sometimes people get an allergy to it or like it burns or whatever. So anyway, and then you jump in the shower and you're rinsing it off, and it's not like I have a mirror in the shower or access to one where I could like look and see if I have like blotchy, you know what I mean, black stains or brown stains on my skin. So it's an adventure every time. And there's a scent. So I know when I go to the hairdresser, she's going to be like, you dye your hair. And I'm going to be like, no. I'm not going to lie to the hairdresser, but she's not going to, it's my beard. What I like about the dye that I use is that it's kind of like you still see a little bit of like lightness. And it looks kind of like, if you're not watching this on YouTube, it doesn't come out like, I don't look like Eminem, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying Eminem dyes his beard, but I mean, that's black. Like his hair is black in black, you know what I mean? It doesn't look bad, it looks good on him, but I'm just saying. Who are we kidding, right? But it's a little more subtle than that. And I guess, like I can't show you, but I have like, you can see that black spot on my thumb. I guess I was putting away the packaging and throwing it in the trash, and I had ripped off the gloves, and it's staying there. So that's what I'm talking about, like that fear, like that it's going to be, I'm going to come out and be like, it'll be blatantly obvious that I dyed my beard because it's the skin underneath is all different shades of black, right? That's the point. Yeah. So anyway, it would have been cool to like say, I'll be right back. I'm gonna do a second episode today, and then have a back-to-back where you would see like a before and after in a real way. But you'll get the picture, because I'll come back after I get my haircut, and you know, I'll do the second installment. You know, I'm being honest, man. I've always liked the idea of a conversation, a conversational podcast where somebody's just being honest and talking about different things. And I know I when I first started doing these shows, I experimented with some topical things where I would research certain points, and I'd have outlines and stuff, and it wasn't very contrived. It was still authentic, but I would talk about TV shows or movies I was watching, or things that are, and I don't mind doing that as well. I know the past couple of weeks it's been sort of like, I talked about it on the previous episodes, where it seemed like the whole month of February I was just like dealing with one sickness or another, whether it was the flu or COVID or what have you. And I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? It's not entertaining to me. I get it. But I don't want to stop doing the shows, is my point. I was watching this one guy, and he was posting advertisements, like, check out my new episode. And I would never think to do that. Like, I don't function that way. I remember once I posted where I had like 500 downloads, and after I posted, I was like, why did I post that? Like, what am I doing? But it's the same thing. I put out a children's book, and I went through all of the trouble to make it professional, to make it, you know, I think the artwork in it's really great. I think that it's really, well, it's edited, professionally edited and formatted, and I just was really proud of it. But then, like, I couldn't bring myself to advertise it, or like to try to promote it. You know, I had plans before I put it out. Like, there's an office for, like, I think for Walmart, they have where you would take your products and you would tell them that you would like to distribute your products in there, and then this person, this department within the company, would decide whether, like, their buyers or whatever, if it was something that they wanted to do, like HEB, for example, does it, where you can promote your product to them and ask them if you're doing these certain things in these different regions, and you would like to try to if they would shelf your product in these particular regions that you were going to be promoting in. And I'm not a lazy person. I'm not somebody who, like, shies away from hard work. You know, when all of that was going on, I would be doing my day job, and then I would be illustrating my book at night, or sending it off to editors and doing second, third drafts, making sure everything was perfect. Which is funny, because, like, I'm telling you, if you ever wanted to do that, like if you ever wanted to put out a book or something, it is rewarding. But I'm saying, I had professional editors just going through line by line, right? But then when it was transferred from the pages, right, to the actual artwork in the book, when it was being put into the book, and then it was checked over again and again, and then they published the first draft of it. Like they sent me, this is the polished copy, ready to go. Here we are. You ready? And then I look at it, and then I'm like, how? How did it go through all of this, and then the person typing it in misses, this word's misspelled, this period's missing. You know what I mean? And it blew my mind, like to where I had to, like, I even sold copies, and I had to go find them, the ones that I could find, which I was able to, because you have that first run, right, where it's like, it's available for sale, and right away I pulled it back and said, no, it's not. And that first was like, my sister grabbed a few copies, and this is all on Amazon. They're purchasing, pre-purchase. And I had to be like, yo, I'm so sorry. And then I fixed those things and then resent it out again. But my point was not to get into that again, but just to say that it's not like I was afraid of the hard work. I was doing all that research and calling the Library of Congress and the Copyright Office and all these different things, researching and buying things or whatever, making it all happen, like finding out how to publish, and the point being is that what happens at that point when you have the product, like right now, they make really beautiful hardcover versions of my book, and I've held it in my hand. It's tangible, like it's so cool to have this, but not to, like, what is that self-sabotage that says I'm not going to promote it, or I don't want to, like Amazon was like, it's you got to use like keywords, and you got to, like, they can post advertisements of it and different things. I mean, there's social media where you could post it on Facebook, on certain like preschool and kindergarten teacher pages where you could, like, promote your book and have people. Anyway, like maybe a couple weeks ago, I was hanging out and just thinking about that. How I don't know what's wrong with me. Like what is, I've sat on, I have like 2 or 3 rough drafts of different follow-up books, stories, and something possesses me to not do it. Like it's like not wanting to, something is self-defeating. Like I don't know what's wrong, but it's there. But like I was just hanging out and just thinking about these different things, and my wife teaches pre-K. She teaches pre-K at my daughter's school, and my book, a couple copies of my book are at the library at the school. And my wife said that there's a waiting list of kids that are trying to check my book out. They want to take the book home, whatever, like check the book out. Isn't that sweet? And before you say it, it's not like my daughter, right? Or her friends or whatever. Although that's how my wife had found out, because my daughter went to check out the book for a thing that they're doing at their school. She likes when they do like these book reviews and stuff, and she's proud or whatever. She wants to show the little book, and so she was going to check out my book with a couple other books or something, and the librarian told her that there's a wait list, like other people are waiting for it to be turned in so they could check it out, which I thought was very sweet. And it it's just one of those things, and it's in every aspect of my life. And I don't know if that's like a thing or whatever, but I was talking to this one friend about like these different platforms and how some artists will um they'll do versions of other people's songs, right? And like they'll record themselves doing all these different songs live, and then they'll post a video daily of themselves doing a song. And it's just a thing. And then once a week or once every few weeks they'll put out a song that they wrote themselves, of just the version of them playing it, and they'll post it on these different platforms. I couldn't even imagine. Like, I don't know why not, do it. I was talking to, and then my cousin, he's a guitar player. We play together every week. We just did this like 6 shows or whatever in a row. And every now and then he'll put up the phone on a stand, and he'll just do a live Facebook Live or whatever different thing. He'll post something up. And I don't know, it's the weirdest thing that I'll see these things and I'll have that reaction. I'll see other people doing it and I'll think, something will say, I know I could do that. I would want to do that, but something stops me. It's like self-defeating. And I remember when I had this invention, right? This product that I was promoting, and I've talked about this briefly, but they entered me into a contest with my partners, and there was such a sigh of relief. It was right before COVID happened, and they had shut down the airplanes, like you couldn't fly anymore. So we made it to the semifinals, right, which were going to be held in Boston, and it fell through because of that, right? At first. So so we made it to okay, but anyway, the point being, I even made the joke to my professor that I felt that all this happened because I was afraid of flying, haha, or whatever. But there was like a sigh of relief that I didn't have to present this to try to get to the next level. We ended up going up to like the semifinals because they came back and did a virtual finals, like a virtual contest, right? So they were doing this experimental thing where, not experimental, I'm trying to describe it. Basically, they did it on Zoom, where we did our presentations via this Zoom process, and we didn't win, but we made it like to the last couple or whatever, which was exciting and cool. But I know, it's just, sometimes I think it's the big mystery to solve. Like, if I could figure out what stops me from just allowing success or pushing past that, that first step, It's kind of weird that I'm coming to this realization right now. It was not my intention of this episode to even talk about that. I don't even know where this is coming from, but I will say this though. Speaking of inventions, you should take note of this, or whomever is listening. A bit of entrepreneurial advice, okay? I don't care how crazy the idea is. If you feel like you want to have some sort of entrepreneurial venture, no idea is too crazy or silly or stupid. Okay. I know I mentioned before, I remember one of the famous ones was my wife always like just bring up inventions that people have, and she'll tell you 100 times over. And when she was in middle school, she had done her science project or whatever was scented trash bags. And this was long before they were actually a commodity or like actually something that was real. I should say, to this day, she buys scented trash bags just so that when she buys them, she could tell me, you know, I invented those before they came out. I had that idea or whatever. But it is true though. Like I remember we were talking about ideas for, because when you're doing different, my major was, or my minor or whatever, my concentration in college was entrepreneurship. Little known fact, but which is ironic because that's like self-promotion and selling, you know, believing in yourself and selling products and based on yourself and starting your own businesses. And, you know, I think it's so funny. But anyway, so part of when you're doing these classes is you have to have products to push, so that you can work on these principles of selling and marketing and all these different kind of things, right? So they'll say, well, like, do you have any ideas or inventions? That's where that first one came in. That ended up being kind of taking off or whatever. But I remember in the brainstorming session talking about having something for your posture, right? Because any entrepreneurial product is you start with a problem, right? In this case, bad posture and like not remembering to stay up straight and whatnot. And I had come up with this idea that, well, if you had some type of sensor like in the fabric of your clothes that maybe give you a little ting or something when you started slouching, right? Or if you stayed in a slouching position for too long. And, you know, haha, that's interesting. It's funny, whatever. I don't know how that would work with clothes, blah, blah. And then we blew it off and went on the next thing. And then I see these products. It was like this Japanese company came out with something very similar where there's like a band and you wear it and there's like a thing on your spine. And then when you slouch, it gives you some sort of sensation that lets you know that you have bad posture, that you're slouching. Which is not like a home run, knock it out the park example, but I'll tell you another example. My partner and I, in college, to do it was a senior project. We had to come up with a product, a service or business that we could do our business plan for. And my partner and I were brainstorming, and it's sort of bringing right around to this topic we're talking about today, which is, so there I am, we're sitting hanging out, and I was saying I need a haircut. My hair's just getting out of I was thinking about problems, so that we could solve them. And I thought, it would be a kind of an interesting idea, like a novel idea, right? At the time, there was these different products going around where you could sign up for a subscription, and they would send you glasses, and you would try different ones on, and the ones that you liked, you could send back. I mean, you can get your prescription in, and the ones that you weren't wanting to use, you could send back. And so you could always have and then there was other ones where you could have like clothing, sent to you. And right, so I said, well, wouldn't it be cool to have like where you could have a subscription to go get haircuts, and so you would basically have a membership, and so you'd pay a certain amount of money, and then you could go get your hair touched up like weekly, and it's just included in your fee. So like it'd be like, you know, $30-$40 a month, but you could go, like you have a big meeting that week, you know, you could just go and get it touched up and walk out like free. Like it would just, a lot of men have haircuts that you have to maintain, right? Or it starts looking shaggy after like 2 weeks. Anyway, but my instincts were saying, like right away I was like, well, that's kind of stupid. But we ended up using it, and we did this full business plan and crunching numbers and figuring things out where you could, we were like, you could set appointments to get your hair, and like it was low overhead for like, anyway, it started to look really good, but we turned it in, got a grade, did whatever we did, and it was just what it was. And lo and behold, I was on the, I don't know what I was watching or doing, and an ad pops up for this, like a haircutting subscription-based company where you pay a monthly fee and have an unlimited, you know, visits, and the same exact thing, but just anyway. And somebody's making some money off of it. If they're doing it well, they're probably making it a profitable venture. But I just thought it was an interesting thing that you sit around a table and you're laughing and saying, I mean, it wouldn't really be a thing, but we should use it so we can just have a, you know, and then somebody like Cha-Ching's making, you know, a profit off of it. It's just crazy. The idea that, but I mean, I remember my my good friend and guitar player, musician friend of mine had this thing with chili and with corn chips, kind of like Doritos with like Tabasco sauce. And then this was way back. And then all of these different chip manufacturers started coming out with those exact flavors of, and spicy chips, you know, hot fries and chili Cheetos, or all these different. I think they even came out with those exact Tabasco based Doritos and corn chips, you know. There's no dumb idea, just poor execution of rolling them out, to be honest with you, Anyway, this episode took a hard left turn, and I don't even know how we got here. But, so this is episode 1 for this past week, and I'm going to go get my hair cut and take care of a few projects, and I'll come back. There's a lot of things that I want to get into that I didn't get into, because I don't know how we were just on a hard tangent. But I think that's best, because I do have a lot of notes for this week, and I figured we can go ahead and have an episode in about an hour, so we'll be all caught up. Here's the bottom line on this: is basically, I'm a creature of habit. I have addictive nature, and I don't want to break this habit of doing shows weekly. And this was a hard week with a lot of things going on that I'll get into later, but I don't want it to derail me from this, because it's really important to me and something that I enjoy, and that I wish that I could get over myself and promote it and do the show right and produce it, and maybe that's part of the process of the show is figuring out how to get out of my own head and do that. But until then, I still am authentic. I still am honest, and I still share the things that are going on in my life. And so I'll continue to do that until as long as I can. So, all right. I'll talk to you soon. We'll see you.